Yo everyone! Today we're going to learn how to stay alive in the choppers for a period of greater than 17 seconds. Now I know what you're thinking. This guy's trying to indoctrinate me into some kind of hedonistic cult, but I can assure you that is not the case. Alternatively, if you're one of these lowly plebeian ground peasants, you'll learn how to annoy majestic chopper pilots who are superior to you in every way. And if you are one of these ground chumps, I want you to know that I hate you. I hate you so very much. The first threat to chopper kind that we will look at is the railgun tank, which can one-shot nightbirds and stealth choppers across the entire map. All it needs is a line of sight. 105% of the time you can find them either inside or just outside the enemy spawn, often surrounded by 2 wildcats and 2 shoot-down sentinels. I generally take evasive manoeuvres the instant I spawn in a chopper because there might be a railgun tank trying to spawn snipe me across the map, and keep in mind that because the vehicle respawn timers are fixed, they can often predict when an aircraft is going to respawn in the air, so they can do this multiple times. The stealth chopper is particularly vulnerable to the railgun tank because it has quite a large hitbox and isn't very manoeuvrable. They're not particularly hard to kill with choppers. You just need to hover above them so that they can't hit you with their main gun. Often you'll need to destroy shoot-down sentinels, which the driver will place on either side. This prevents you from hitting them with missiles or dropping bombs on them. It can take a while to kill them with a nightbird sometimes, because you have to rely on the anti-ground vehicle missiles, and they've got various countermeasures to use. So here the guy just put out another set of shoot-down sentinels. So he used the thermal smoke, and he's using the active protection here. You can tell that by the green light, so we have to wait for that to go away. And there we go. Justice has been done. Much like the recoilless, the Javelin can lock on to aircraft that have been tracered, SOFAM'd, or are being hacked. Unlike other lock-on missiles, which come at you in a straight line where possible, the Javelin goes way up into the air above you and then down, so you can't avoid it by hiding behind a wall or a hill. One way to avoid them is to flare the second you start being hacked. A good thing about them is that it takes a while for them to reach you, so even if you have been hacked, often you'll have time to flare after the hack finishes. The way you identify that it's a Javelin missile coming at you is that it doesn't take a path straight to you, it goes above you and then down. So you need to watch for that, because otherwise you might think you're safe behind a wall and then the Javelin will just get you by surprise. So here I can see that this missile is wanting to go above me, so I know it's a Javelin, so I had no choice but to flare there. Now you can also avoid Javelins by flying underneath something, but that generally possesses its own hazards. Probably 75% of all my deaths in choppers is due to TV guided missiles, because everyone and their mum is packing one. It's very difficult to avoid a TV missile that's fired by someone who knows how to read chopper movement. I actually get crushed by the debris here. Now, what most degenerates do is they'll hide somewhere, check the map to see where the chopper is, and then fire. Often, even if they miss, they'll be able to loop back round and get the chopper from behind. I'm back! Sometimes what they do is they'll point the TV away from the chopper because that makes it a lot harder for them to see it. Quite often choppers crash just trying to dodge it. And if they fly in a straight line, they're very susceptible to the boost. Stealth choppers are particularly vulnerable again. It's very difficult for them to dodge. Attack choppers can actually take 2 hits, but because they're quite slow and can't really maneuver, it's easy to hit them twice. The key to dodging them is to make sure you're looking at them. You can't just fly away, do a wiggle and expect to dodge, because a good TV missile bastard will be able to read your movements anyway. So what you have to do is you have to be looking at them in order to dodge them. Without knowing how they're coming at you, it's very difficult to dodge. But if you can see them coming, it's a lot easier. You can shoot them down as well, but you can't really shoot them all down most of the time. This is a particularly sneaky one. You see it was disappearing there because it was being pointed away from me, so I couldn't see it. The best way is to fly backwards and to try and shoot it down. If you do this, you'll be able to see it coming. It'll make it a lot easier to dodge. You might shoot it down. The missile will use up more fuel, making it less likely it'll be able to loop round on you, and it'll put more distance between you and the tallywhacker who fired it in the first place. Now, you always have to have your sound on so that you can hear the characteristic sound the TV missile makes, and you have to react to it. You can't just go along doing what you were doing thinking, it can't hit me. You should position yourself so that you can see the areas where the TV missiles are likely to be coming from. You should also try to give yourself some cover, but keep in mind the TV missiles can take some quite tight corners, so cover might not help as much as you think. I personally like to focus my righteous persecutions on those common scum that have the wrench symbol above them, because those guys are the jobbies that fire the missiles into the air and refuse to submit to the farm. Remember that if you fly far enough away, the missiles will run out of fuel before they reach you. The heavy machine guns of the stealth chopper are actually very good at shooting down TVs. The problem is that this doesn't make up for the stealth chopper's inability to consistently dodge multiple TVs. I mean, even if you kill the unwashed proletariat that are firing them at you, they'll just respawn and fire more in 10 seconds. This makes the stealth chopper not very viable as of now against TV missiles. If you hit a wildcat from above with a missile or something, it generally partly disables the main gun turret, so that it can't rotate very quickly, which makes it easy to stay out of its sights. Then you can just pummel it. Often there'll be underlings surrounding it which you'll have to kill, but that's easy enough done. So I'm just going to keep on pummeling it while staying behind cover. So I was just waiting for my missiles to reload and killing the trash while I wait. This guy does not want to die. It looks like his friends are trying to repair him, so I need to deal with them. Used the thermal smoke, only delaying the inevitable. Okay, bailed out and then got inside. That's actually very hard to deal with as I don't have rocket pods. His friends are shooting me again, I think. Hello. Tried shooting through the window there in case I could get him, but nope. Now he's repaired partially. Now I'm out of missiles. I need to wait for them to regenerate. I'll just hide behind the hill until they have. One more missile will do it. He bailed, but I'm not going to let him get away. No one escapes me. Here's another wildcat. Used the thermal smoke. It takes a few seconds for the thermal smoke to actually show up on my screen. I'll just kill this guy while I wait for my missiles to regenerate. Well, that one died a lot easier. That was nice of them. If you have to run away from a wildcat, it's often good to fly low and use cover to make it awkward for them. When it comes to air combat, the main thing is to try and keep your aim on the target without overheating, and to try and shoot them out of it if possible. It's good to have a height advantage, although that's not necessary all of the time. As long as you can shoot up at them without crashing, that's enough. If your opponent does have a height advantage over you, sometimes it can be good to fly underneath them to force them to dive down on you if they want to shoot at you, which is what this guy does to me here. Instead of diving down on him, I should have reversed backwards a bit while maintaining my height, which would have allowed me to keep shooting at him, because I gave away the height advantage here. If they sneak up on you, then it can be good to fly away and hide somewhere so you can ambush them. Yes, fall into my trap. So see, he dived down on me there, which allowed me to get above him. And when jets go into hover mode, it's easy to outmaneuver them. Now, if a fully stacked hind has a height advantage over you, it's best to probably run away. Though if you do fly into a tunnel, a bunch of jokers will probably fire TVs at you.
Still early, but we're securing territory on schedule. Our troops are advancing on Alpha 1.
It's best to retreat by flying backwards where possible, because that allows you to see what the enemy's doing and you can fire back at them as well. It is quite easy actually for a nightbird to win a shootout with a fully stacked hind, as long as it's not being repaired. Here I'm being repaired, which makes things quite easy for me. So I'm going to try and get behind him here and stay behind him so that he can't shoot at me properly. And I'm also going to try and shoot at the cockpit so I can maybe kill the pilot or the main gunner. Now there's a lot of different types of lock-on missiles in the game. We've already went over the Javelin. The first one is of course the Sundance grenade, which makes its characteristic passive lock-on sound. It's very slow, so you shouldn't waste your flares on it because it's easy to outrun it. The only time you should flare to get rid of a Sundance grenade is if you're in a confined space where it's very difficult to dodge it, like here. So see, I have to flare here. I mean, I could maybe have escaped it, but it wasn't worth the risk. The main type of lock-on weapon is, the original Stinger. It will kill a chopper in 2 hits. Though a lot of the time it'll actually shoot you out of it, which is very annoying. It's quite easy to break the lock before it actually fully fires. But it's next to impossible to dodge without cover. If you do get shot out of it, you can often get back inside it. But a lot of the time, some scallywag will steal it. Yes, come back to me. Now the best way to avoid a Stinger is to just put something between you and it, because it comes at you in a straight line, more or less. Blocked with the cliff there. You can often dodge just by parking somewhere. If you're flying low, there's loads of obstacles that can get in the way of an incoming missile. Hills are often very good to block lock-ons. Your warning indicator will show you the direction that any lock-ons are coming from, but it won't tell you anything about the vertical height of the culprit though. Keep in mind that even if you do flare, the missile will keep on coming at you in a straight line anyway, so you need to actually dodge. If you fly in a straight line, it will probably still hit you. Like here. I flare, but I move in a straight line so it still hits me. The lock-on missiles that are fired by choppers, jets and wildcats aren't actually that good at manoeuvring themselves, so it doesn't take much movement to avoid them. A lot of jet pilots are quite careless and they'll fly in too slow, allowing a nightbird or stealth chopper to kill them in one pass. What a lot of them do is they get in close and fire the passive air radar missiles at point blank range, so your flares won't work in time. What I like to do with these scum is I'll fire my flares just before they can launch their missiles, which means they won't lock on. If you know where a jet's next target is going to be, you can often ambush them. Watch out for angry jet rammers as well, but there's not much you can really do about them. Now, a lot of the more annoying jets are what I would define as opportunistic bastards. So they'll just come at you when you're busy doing something else. Their weapon of choice is the passive missiles, because if they fire them late, your flares won't work, and you can't really dodge them if they fire them when they're right beside you. Sometimes you have to wait them out, so I was just repairing under there. They often like to nudge you as they fly past, which can force you to crash. Stealth choppers particularly have a hard time now, because they can't repair in between fights most of the time, so they need to get to cover more than the nightbird does. If they come in fast, it can be hard to get them as they run in. Really annoying jets always attack you from above, so they're just constantly doing that. Though it doesn't take much to dodge their missiles if they're coming down on you from above. Just a little bit of perpendicular movement will cause them to miss. If they just keep going up and up, you have to just leave them and then maybe come back when they've picked another target and finish them off.
We have secured Alpha Sector. Nearly every sector is under our control. Good work.
Remember me? If there are a lot of bad people outside, then it might be a good idea to go inside and wait them out. Once it's safe or you've repaired, then you can leave. It's important to use your map to find where threats are, because a lot of the time they'll have been spotted by a teammate. Now, if there's a lot of bastards using lock-on weapons, you need to use cover effectively. So here I'm just baiting out some missiles so I can see where they are. And then I can strike. Remember me? Because you're only ever one TV missile or one railgun blast away from death, you need to be careful, you need to be sneaky. You should fly low and use cover and try and limit the number of enemies that can see you at any one time. What a lot of people do when they're starting out is they just get the chopper and fly towards the enemy spawn, presumably hoping that the enemy team will surrender. Well, I have to tell you, that didn't work for the Russians and it won't work for you. Now, to be perfectly honest, I can't think of anything to say And chances are everyone will have stopped watching this about 15 minutes ago, so like and subscribe and all that. Maybe you should think about joining a new religion, I don't know, Scientology or something. Anyway, bye.